Yeah, love respect in every aspect to the man like Mark. They love what the man talk on the radio. In case you never know. You call that radio, call that the radio. You call that radio, call that the radio. Come and say, in my name, I'll just go with the flow. In my name, I'll just go with the flow. So till you miss a mark, now go bend down low. Till you miss a mark, now go bend down low.
Welcome to the Boris Johnson phone up, bam up. It's the Boris bam up. Well, someone used the hashtag Boris bam up, but you know, if anybody wants to phone in today to defend in defence of Boris, you can phone in. This is You Call That Radio. One of those episodes where you can actually call that radio if you've got something to say. So we've got a few special guests that I know for a fact are phoning in. Who's tuned in? We've got Mark's in the house. Brian, straight away, he's said Nicola Sturgeon's getting nits, pass it on. So yeah, we want to make, because I knew that would happen straight away, you know, what about Labour? What about SNP? I would like to make it clear, I don't care for any political party whatsoever. But we're going to be focusing mainly on Boris Johnson today, because he's having a bit of a day, a bit of a week, a bit of a month, a bit of a year. And just want to see how everyone's feeling about Boris. So this is like a phone in. You can phone in at any point and tell us what you think about Boris Johnson. This show's only possible due to our patrons. Thank you to everyone who supports the show on You Call That Radio. We're going to get our first caller in, I think. So let's just do that. Hello. It's Jim Monaghan.
How's it going, Mark?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. Are you calling in defence of Boris?
No, I'm not calling in defence of Boris at all. I'm calling in to protest the great idiotic British public. All of us, including myself, who fucking put him there. We've spent years looking at him, and have I got news for you? And like when Britain got the Olympics and he's going, ping pong's coming home and everything, he's going, oh Boris, what a fucking boy, yeah, what a lad. And now look at it. And we all laugh at America for Trump and everything. And we did this. This is our fault.
And what do you make of the newest stuff? I mean, the
parties.
I think, so it was like, first started off with, it wasn't so he said there was no parties whatsoever. Then he went wrong, there was no parties. Now I think it's 14 parties and counting. And then he's like, well, I think I was there, but I'm sorry I was there, but I didn't know it was a work event. I think that's the latest one.
I think at first he said it was work, and then I mean, you would know right away, wouldn't you, if you walk into a place that's just fucking drink, folk smoking at the back garden. It's no work. There's no flip chart or anything, so like, you know, it's no work. So I think he said that at first, and now he says, I think now he's saying he's complaining that Cummings says that he knew about it. He's now saying nobody told me that it was wrong. Like, he's the guy, nobody told me that it broke the rules, he says, even though he's the guy that made up the rules and told us told everybody else to do the rules.
That's the new one. So the new one is he's saying that, okay, he did know that it was a party, because people are like, you must have known it was a party, Boris. He was like, yeah, okay, I knew it was a party, but nobody told me that it was a party and it was against the rules. But is he not the guy that told everyone the rules?
Aye, that's it. He made up. He's the Prime Minister. It's his government that implemented the rules. And by the way, there were real rules. There was people getting fined £1,000. One guy £10,000, I think it was.
£10,000 for putting on a party.
Aye. So at the same time, his police force were out in London arresting people and charging them and fining them and all that for doing exactly what he was doing. With, by the way, loads of police, loads of special branch, loads of Secret Service, all round about him witnessing it as well. So not only are the police arresting working class people for doing the same thing, they're actually standing by and allowing the other thing to happen. If you and I had walked up to 10 Downing Street and just wandered in with a carrot, it would be a police that would stop us getting in. So the police were providing they were the private security firm. They were like the in-house of Westminster.
It's, and yeah, obviously they said that they already decided that when they got to investigate it right at the start, because like they obviously know that an
Because
investigation.
they were there.
They're
definitely not investigating it because half of them were at the fucking thing.
He's on a bad month, says Mark. I used to like a pork pie, says Stuart. We've got another. I want to just share a little video to get us in the mood for what's been happening here. So this is it's just a couple of the party memes that I've been kicking about. So I'd like to take notes, Jim, and see if you've got any comments on these memes that are happening now. I found them on Instagram earlier.
Oh no. See you later.
As far as I'm aware, to the best of my knowledge, and we have followed the rules throughout.
David's team. David? For me, it's the things that he said that aren't believable. I think if I had to pin it down, it would be all of the things that he said.
After he'd read the card.
Yes. We're going to go lie.
Were you telling the truth, or was it a lie?
It's been a while. It's been a while. Pub crop, then club trucks. Take no dog, ticket stubs. We're on it again. Been missing the music and people that choose it. Illusions are broken where we can see through it. The mosh pit, the front row, the hands up, the hey-ho. The going home when at first we say so. We're strangers with lighters, the unplanned all-nighters. With 5 a.m. chat, with the efforts we say.
So that's the first few memes I'd like to. Have you got any comment to make in those?
But actually, see the one on Would I Lie to You? That's exactly what I was talking about earlier. I mean, but we all hate him now, and we all know he's a total fucking dick and everything, but we kind of always knew that anyway. But we did all watch all the things and laugh at him and think, oh, he's just a kind of one of these, like almost like a cartoon character that's an upper class, like tough clown kind of thing. And it's only Boris. And all the time he was laughing his way, and we were laughing along as he fucking ends up being the Prime Minister. It's your worst nightmare. It's actually, I mean, as I said, we can laugh at America for Trump, but fuck's sake, what we did.
Wait, do you think that his fans? I mean, what do you think he's got? I mean, a lot of fans out there. I've noticed that they've got a wee bit quieter because, like, we do the Overheard in the West End page, which because that is so big now, people do comment on it. Sometimes I think we get the Russian bots or whatever it is that sort of try to say things. But even they've struggled to defend it. There's one guy who is an expat, as they say, who lives abroad.
Expat. He's not an immigrant. He's an expat.
No, he's not at all. He's an expat. He's an expat. He lives in Spain or some shit. And he defended it by hitting it with the, well, what about Starmer? And it was like that obviously quite a predictable thing to say. Now, obviously, somebody who's always despised Keir Starmer, because I just don't see. I don't have one positive thing to say about him. What would you say to that guy who says, what about Starmer?
Well, I think the Starmer one came out a wee while ago, and it doesn't actually. I don't even know if he even breaks the rules. I didn't actually look into it, but I kind of read that it was a kind of nothing thing. It was later when it was more relaxed rules, and it wasn't like 100 people invited to a party in the basement of the Prime Minister's house. Do you know what I mean?
Well, I seen Starmer defend it, and he did actually just seem for once to actually seem like he was quite confident in the fact that he was eating some lunch, and they had some lunch together. But the thing was is that it was a rule. The rule was is that you weren't allowed to have lunch with your work colleagues. So he kind of admitted in breaking the rules, but at the same time it wasn't a party. Or it wasn't 14 parties.
Look, if you get to, I mean, the thing is, if all had happened is Boris Johnson was caught sitting with more than 2 households at a table in Wetherspoons, then nobody would be bothered. I mean, they would all point at him and go, "What a hypocrite," and all that. But it looks like it was blatantly being done the whole time, and they just assumed that they could do it because they're the chosen ones, they're the special people, so they can just do whatever they want. The rules
just the constant lies, man. The constant lies, like just the flat out denials, just blatantly lying. And he must have known that. Obviously, it's Dominic Cummings who's just sort of dropping new stuff every time, so he denies one thing and then drops another bit of evidence. Do you think he's got more on him? Do you think there is going to be a picture of Boris snorting a line with a party hat on or something?
I think future President Cummings is an evil genius, and he's been fucking planning this all along. He'll fucking build them up and bring them down until he'll ruin the life of every single politician that he puts in place until the country will say, I dominate, you might as well just do it yourself, mate. And that'll be it. That'll be the end of democracy with President Cummings and his mad family.
Do you think that'll? I think it seems like
that's exactly what I think will happen.
Our great leader, I for one welcome our great leader Dominic Cummings.
Yeah.
Well, he's a snake, absolute snake and all, absolute snake. Petra's in the house. Hello, Petra. Feel free to call in. If this is you call that radio, it's the Boris Johnson phone in. So if you've got anything you'd like to say, then feel free to call in. We've got Hi Sugar Cube, your twa is looking bra, said to Baby Doll. Hello, Colette. Snorting a line with Prince Andrew. There's another one that's had a bit of a bad week as well.
I mean, it's just all part. They're all part of the same thing. It's absolutely. I mean, the thing with the Prince, I don't want to make any jokes with the Prince Andrew thing because it's fucking horrible. It's vicious. It's rape. It's fucking sexual abuse of minors we're talking about here and vulnerable people. And it's kind of it's not anything to be laughed at. It's fucking unbelievable, and it's right at the top of the tree. And we know that like he wasn't alone. We know that these parties that Epstein guy had the great and good for all over the place for the entertainment.
What do you make of the fact that they've taken his titles off him? Is that somehow the conspiracy I read about that is they've taken the titles off him so that he'll be prosecuted as a normal person? Is that so that he can avoid, like, he can claim bankruptcy and he gets to keep all his castles or whatever the fuck it is he owns?
He doesn't even. I mean, there's no way in the world he's ever going to be treated like a normal fucking person. Supposing that even if they bankrupt him, he'll go and stay in one of his ma's 18 hussies. And his ma's like 400 grand a year salary. She'll be able to lend him 20 quid if he's short of money for the lecky or anything like that stuff. So I think.
Is there a point to what was the point to take the titles off him? Is that just the royal family just trying to?
I think it was
himself.
I'm not sure. He took the military titles off him as well, didn't he? So
the Grand Old Duke of York.
He was the Grand Old Duke of York. He was the fucking Admiral of the Space Federation or something like that as well. He was fucking, I don't know, whatever he is, Grand Master of the Lodge, but all the things get taken off him as well.
Jail him, says Stuart.
Right, Stuart, I thought you were snorting a line with him. Was he just...
No, he's not. No, well, that's right, he didn't actually say... I know what you meant.
Said,
Alex saying high five, Pam, from Vietnam. Hello, Vietnam. Good morning, Vietnam, and welcome to the show. It's Boris Johnson phone-in special. If you want to call that radio today, you can. We've got a whole bunch of memes that we're going to look at. And we're also going to be discussing with a very special guest later on. Is it okay? Is meme culture okay? Or is it a bad thing? Because obviously there's been a lot of memes about everyone just likes to have a laugh at the nick of Boris. And it's been quite
Mark,
funny.
it's only about literally 6 months ago or something that I thought I knew they were called memes. I thought they were called memes. That's what I thought they were called.
Well, is that? I mean, not everybody.
I said to actually, I I'd never had any reason to bring them up into a conversation. And the first time I did, I said, "Did you see that
meme?" I did that as well, man. It was a few years ago, mind you now. But also, I remember, like, you know, it's all very funny me laughing at it, but trying to explain to someone what a meme is, I don't even know. Right. So that we just started. I mean, I thought it was just like a picture that had been turned into something. But videos are memes. Everything's a meme now. So we've got a meme specialist, an expert in memes is going to be joining us very soon. But it's you call that radio. So let's go to the phones and see who our next caller is. If you want to call that radio tonight, then send me a message in the comments or a message privately, and I'll send you the link so you can join the show. But let's just go to the phones and see who it is. Hello, it's Tommy Mackay.
Oh, hello.
Daily Reckless. How you doing, man?
Spontaneous phone call there. How do you do that with no hands on a phone? Aye. All right, aye.
Mate, it's been a while. It's been a while, a long time since I've seen you. What you've been up to? You've been. I've been seeing your tunes. You've been still relentless with your Daily Reckless tunes. Do you find that this has been? Is this good for inspiration? Is this good for material for you, Boris? Just fucking it.
Well, yeah, unfortunately it is. I mean, I can't stand the cunt either, but there is a lot of material in there. You do get fed up with it, though, seeing his face. But definitely, yeah, lots of material. And Daily Reckless, as this thing says, it's the paper that sings the news. So we've got to have a new tune every day. And that cunt's face just keeps appearing every day. So I've got millions of Boris tunes and lots of Boris-y albums as well.
And so, do you believe that he didn't know it was a party?
Oh, of course he did. How can you not believe? How can you? Wasn't it Starman the day that says, "How can you go through all the bottles and empty packets of crisps on the lawn?" Go through that. And say, "Oh, I thought it was a works meeting. Sorry, guys, get in." No, it's all a load of bullshit. Everybody claims that, though, don't they? Yeah.
Not only
would you vote for Gear? Sorry, Jim. What were you going to say?
Say not only did he know there was a party, he claimed like a 20 pence back in all the bottles. Work it to yourself.
It's still 20 pence, Jim. You're showing your age there. I'm sure it must be a fiver, but no.
No, I think they stopped it. I think they stopped it. I remember.
But
Boris
I think that was probably the evil EU that stopped it, and Boris will bring it back, like something like that, like he's bringing back rickets and everything else that we used to have.
Well, that's what they keep on saying, innit? That's the main thing they come back to is that the obviously they're kind of sort of hovering around because they all want to be the new leader, but they're kind of like they've got to show support. So they just say things like, "Well, he brought his Brexit," and that's like seen as a positive. Like, you know, he got Brexit done. Did he get Brexit done? Would you say, Tommy?
He got Brexit done, all right. He got his all done.
Tommy, I was going to ask could you maybe play us a Boris Johnson song?
Who, me?
I don't want to put you in the spot.
All right,
it looks like you have a guitar on you.
It's so spontaneous, this fucking show, eh? Aye, okay. You want me just to dad on me at the new?
Please do, mate.
Is that a yes? Okay, anyway,
yes.
This is a song.
Take it away.
Okay, this is called Downing Street Dogs, with apologies to Mr. Bowie. This ain't taking back control. This is genocide. As they pulled you out of the oxygen tent, you asked for the latest party with your Benny Hill pose and Wurzel Gummidge clothes. Like a bust couch you was, Downing Street freak you was, crawling to the party for some more wine and cheese. I'm sure you're not protected from any disease. You'll get away with murder, hide behind the Christmas tree. Slobber and slime you go underneath the mistletoe. I'll help keep the police serene. They wouldn't dare make a scene. They're not coming along. Come out into the rose garden, baby. We'll have a cautious snarl. Young girl, they call us the Downing Street Dogs. Young girl, they call us the Downing Street Dogs. Woo! Keep your head down. Beware of the Downing Street Dogs. Beware of the Downing Street Dogs. Thank you, Downing Street Dogs. Available on the Daily Reckless. DailyReckless.com. That's it.
You call that radio?
You call that radio?
Back to the people who hate it on me. And then I see the disinfectant that knocks it out in a minute.
Amazing stuff. Tommy Mackay in the house. And
Cheers.
we've got, I'll just bring that up on the screen. It's at dailyreckless.com. I'll put it in the
Thank you.
comments as well for people to check out. The daily newspaper that sings to you.
Aye, that's right. What do you like? No.
Brexit, says Alex. Richard Dawkins invented memes back in the day.
Aye, I remember that. Richard Dawkins invented. Yeah, I can remember being on beta.com back in the year 2000, and they were going on about memes forever. And I wondered what memes were. And now they've transformed into this other thing on the internet. That's not what memes used to be, but now they're that.
Is that right?
Aye, Richard Dawkins, way back in the 90s or 80s, I don't know. 90s.
I had no idea. What
Yeah,
an insult to canines is Operation Big Dog. What is Operation Big Dog, Jim?
That was so they called the operation the Tories that were sneaking about trying to bring Boris Johnson down. It was called Operation Pork Pie, and the ones that were trying to save him were Operation Big Dog. Like, let's save the big dog. He's the big to them. I mean, we see him as a bit of a liar and a toff, and they see him as a big dog. So that's the
an insult to big dogs. I've got a big dog.
What do you think, right? Is it the reason that he hasn't been replaced yet? Because obviously nobody gives a shit about Boris, really. Is it just because they can't agree on who the next leader should be, or is it a case of that nobody really wants to take over right now because you've still got a pandemic, you've still got Brexit? Is it just a case of keep him there while everything's really, really shite, and then hopefully someone can come in and have a bit of fun with it?
Fuck knows what they're up to.
I think you're right, Mark. I think it's whoever takes over's got to want to time it right, so that they don't take over in the middle of the crap. Then it becomes associated with them. So excuse me, I'm tuned in a bit of my dinner still, and I'm not going to fall over and choke her in. But so I think you're right. So I mean, they'd gladly get rid of him tomorrow, but what will happen next is whether whoever takes over, Sunak or whoever, they'll be just thinking, when do I want to take over? Are they going to get gubbed in the council elections in May? And if so, do I want to wait till we've had that kicking before I take over and things like that? Or has it got so bad that we need to get rid of him now before it becomes too bad and we can't recover? So it's that's all they'll be thinking about. Nobody's thinking about saving Boris Johnson right now. They're only just thinking about what's the best thing to happen next. You know what I mean?
Well, so far we've had 2 callers. I'll put a link in the comments if anyone's wanting to join us. So who would really want his job right now? It's all about timing. Correct, Susie? I know that, Susie, you said that you might want to come on as well. If anyone's wanting to call, you call that radio tonight. That's the link there, the StreamYard link. Click that and you can join the show. We do have a Mimi expert about to join us in a little second, but I believe that we've actually got somebody who's about to we can go live to an MP who's about to in defence of Boris Johnson. And like, we're a balanced show and you call that radio, we're not all like anti we're not anti-Tory.
No, we are definitely anti-Tory. You told me we were anti-Tory. That's how you got me on.
It's all fair and balanced. Let's go live.
And I want to ask you about the latest allegations on Christmas parties. Did you attend the Downing Street party that was organised by Martin Reynolds on the 20th of May?
Well, all that, as you know, is subject to an investigation with Sue Gray. So until that report is completed, your guess is as good as mine. I don't know whether I attended the party. It's that age-old question, if a tree falls in a forest but no one's there to hear it, does it make a sound? Well, if there was a party in lockdown when we told everyone they couldn't even attend funerals, but no one knew about it, was there a party? And Sue Gray is tasked with answering this philosophical question. It's very hard because hypothetically, I could think, back in May 2020, I was there with my rosé that I'd got on the way. It's direct route, great, and a sausage roll, looking at 40, 50 people, thinking, is this wrong? Well, I'm not going to know that until people find out about it, and I'm being made to explain myself hypothetically.
So have you already been interviewed by Sue Gray, and if not, do you object to her questioning you again about this?
Yeah, well, until the investigation with Sue Gray is completed, I won't know whether I've been interviewed by Sue Gray. So.
Strange mood about
You call that radio?
makes coherent sense.
Martin McKinnon saying, "What the fuck is wrong with her?" I think she's having a wee joke. I think she's having a wee joke there.
She's very good, Rosie Holt. She's really funny.
Very good indeed. We are bloody anti-Tory. We are. Let's be honest, we are. So let's not beat about the bush. This is unashamedly Tory bashing tonight. We've got our next caller is here. Who can it be? Let's go to the phones and find out. It's Texture.
How you doing?
Bram.
Nice to see you, Jim. Nice to see you, Mark. Hi, Tommy.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us, Bram. We were talking about the memes or the memes, and it got me thinking, because I need to go back and listen to the rest of the guy you were talking to. Is it from the radical left, or the memeing of Mark Fisher?
Yeah,
the guy that wrote that book.
Yes,
Sorry,
Mike Watson. Mike Watson.
Mike Watson, yeah. And I thought it was a fascinating conversation. And it is sometimes like when things like this happens, because obviously everybody's on the memes, and I find it absolutely hilarious. And it was just some points made about does it make us feel what we're doing something the same way that we have online protests and hashtags, but we're not actually doing anything. What's your opinion on it? Are you anti-meme?
Well, I think it's important to say, what Tommy was saying about Richard Dawkins coining the term meme, that's absolutely correct. That's spot on. And he described a meme as any unit of cultural information. So whether that's like a catchy tune or a catchphrase from a show, or a religion. And he defined like a group of ideas or memes together as a memeplex. And that, he gave the example of the most efficient memeplex as being the Catholic religion. Insofar as it's a self-replicating idea. It passes directly from parents to children. It has various kind of warnings against not believing it and rewards promised for believing in it. So he made a quite interesting kind of theory there about the way that ideas are transmitted culturally across generations and between people horizontally as well. And that was developed by Susan Blackmore in some of her writing. So I read that stuff really early on, exactly like Tommy said, kind of the early 2000s. It was being talked about on message boards. And the Scottish comics writer Grant Morrison incorporated it into the plot of The Invisibles. So I was kind of thinking about this just as memes as we know them now, which is kind of very funny, bite-sized images, sometimes captioned. And it's kind of like very digestible, shareable, spreadable content. Things that go viral, we're all very familiar with that term now. The first things that started going viral were these meme pictures. I don't know if you remember lolcats, but those were some of the kind of early internet memes. So I think, first of all, if talking about the Tories and memes, it's really important to recognize that Boris Johnson is himself a meme. And that's fundamentally, I think, why he's prime minister. He, if you think back to the photos of him failing to go down a zip line, or, him appearing on Have I Got News for You, he's inherently memeable. Everything from his visual appearance with the carefully tousled hair to the kind of overly florid way of speaking. All of that stuff, I think, is quite carefully calculated. And if you think about it, he's got that buffoonish, clownish aspect, but it kind of conceals what an ideological piranha he is, This is somebody who came from private schools and the Oxbridge universities and into the Tory party. And the Tory party, remember, is not a democratic party. Who is chosen as leader is selected by a quite shadowy process. And so I think he was chosen for a reason to be the prime minister. I think that a lot of that is to do with his meme ability. And a lot of their campaigns, particularly when Cummings was involved, leaned into that. And I don't think that's changed. There's one thing I was going to mention, which was like, I don't know if you remember a particular tweet that the Tories put out when they were trying to kind of get the idea of get Brexit done into the public consciousness as a hashtag and as a meme, essentially. And they tweeted a picture of a poster with the phrase on it, but it was misspelled. It said get Brexit done. And this was subtweeted by huge swathes of the left, liberal, centre population who are anti-Tory. And the idea was that they would subtweet it and say, look at these idiots. But that's quite calculated, because algorithms and social media are basically all calculated on reach. So anything that you're retweeting, even in a negative way, is increasing that person's reach and the reach of their message. So I think like the idea that Boris or the Tories accidentally trend is ridiculous. And the danger that we all have of kind of mocking them publicly or reducing them to memes is that we help them by doing that. We're kind of their useful idiots. And yeah, so that's my worry about Boris, is that because he's so memeable and because we've got so long till the next election, he's almost Teflon. You know, worse stuff than this has happened and he shook it off. And I think one of the reasons he shook it off is because of this very memeable, shareable, mockable public persona. And it plays into that whole thing of Brexit as well, of just get it done. Who cares about what the experts say? You know, at root, that's populism. And Boris is a very populist president. The left really struggles to have anything that memeable. There's not much memeable about Keir Starmer, other than to maybe say that he's boring, and even that's not going to make a great meme. You know, Corbyn was a lot more memeable. And the question of why his movement, which was also a populist movement, didn't carry him into power, and how the left memes, that's something that Mike Watson talks about in his book. And I think he made some really interesting suggestions about where the left might go to kind of counteract the very toxic and very viral memes that the right are very good at producing at the moment, including Boris Johnson himself. Yeah, it's a funny one.
I muted myself there. Yeah, man, bang on. And I suppose that's also the reason that you get things like, you know, people like Piers Morgan or websites will do a story about maybe somebody one person's taken offence on Twitter to something, and then they'll write a story about it, then everyone will get upset about it, and then people will argue about it, and it's just to sort of generate clicks. I mean, you're talking about Corbyn was more memeable. I mean, I can genuinely say that I've not seen one Starmer meme yet. I mean, I don't think I've seen one, because, like you said, he's very boring and there's nothing to him. Well, Corbyn, there was a good Corbyn meme. One of my favourite memes, actually, is can I nab a filter? Of course, mate, take a stick, I've got loads, said Corbyn. And why don't you have your own, said Theresa May.
So great.
Hear her shouting it. So that's some good memes from Corbyn. Yeah, Tommy, Jim, is there anything you'd like to add to what Bram's saying?
No, that was really interesting. I think, sorry, Tommy, on you go.
No, I was just going to say, what Bram was saying, could I stop doing stuff every day about Boris then, because I'm just contributing to that whole thing. And you do think about that. Well, I don't want to do that. I'd rather do something positive that was anti-Tory rather than, you know, everything getting picked up on the internet, as you say, clickbait, and you're just contributing to that whole thing. And that's the dilemma I'm always in, of do I take the piss out of this guy, or do I do something positive on the other side? You just don't know.
I think what's a wee bit different this time is that this is really, he's on the ropes here. And I think all the memes and all the songs and all the things are really helping. Because, you know, there was that the 100 Boris Johnsons outside partying at Westminster. That is not helping him. He's on a show.
I love all that stuff. Don't get me wrong. I'm not kind of like writing that off like any kind of mockery or memeing of Johnson. Or I think particularly that's why I mentioned subtweeting. Is that, you know, whether it's Johnson or any other issue, if you're subtweeting people to share your negative opinions, you are actually amplifying their reach. So it's about thinking carefully about how the algorithm uses your data and what it shows you as a result of that, as much as it's about like whether you're helping the cause by kind of amplifying them. I mean, and it's a complicated area because you're going into protest as well, and obviously there is effective protest on the internet as well as ineffective protest. It's about how it's approached, isn't it? Yeah.
And do you think, like, just now with Boris being on the ropes, because I mean, right now, this is the first time I think I've ever seen people really struggling to defend what he's saying. I mean, I think I was one. I've got a wee one earlier on from today. I'll just try and bring up, but it seems to be that it's made such a mockery of him this time because people don't care about anything. I mean, I think it was.
I don't know. I don't know, Mark.
He's done a lot worse. He's done much worse in the past.
He hid in a fridge. He actually just hid in a fridge to get away from the press.
Even just look at the racist remarks that he's made over the years. This was another point I was going to make as well, which is that, I think this has been mentioned in The Guardian this week as well, is that like a lot of these people, whether you're talking about Piers Morgan, or particularly Johnson himself, a lot of them are the old Fleet Street mob that would have been Piers Morgan's boys. Just in the same way that like all of the American elite are affiliated with the worst excesses of Epstein, and you can associate them with that. It's the same. The worst excesses of both Fleet Street and the red top papers. All of those people are the people running the Tory party now. So it's they're really like. We're in a culture where react videos get more attention than the videos themselves. We like to see people react to them. And Boris Johnson was kind of arguably one of the people that created that culture. His columns back in the day for those papers, for the Telegraph and so on, were about reacting, particularly to things like quite often invented ideas like, EU are going to make you not have bendy bananas, that kind of bullshit. So even back then, like arguably he was shaping that culture of like amplifying reaction and reactionary opinions, all that stuff. This is a lot of this stuff is coming good now, having been in our culture for 20 years, rather than having arrived fully formed with the arrival of memes and Twitter. Yeah.
This is the one I was talking about.
I think this time.
Sorry, Tommy, on you go.
Right. No, this time round though, the combination of the general public being outraged by the party stuff, and especially against the Queen and all that. The combination of rage and ridicule is quite a strong one, and they sort of made that point on Channel 4 News the other night that Britain was becoming a laughingstock because of this combination of rage and ridicule. I just thought, becoming? I mean, I thought we already were. But that's a good combination, rage and ridicule, but the old internet picking up on it and giving more clicks to the bad guys. You can't escape it.
This is the meme that I was talking about from earlier on. So basically the problem that you've got now, there's always people defending Boris, and I've not seen so much of that in the last week, and it's because the choice is either Boris Johnson lied or he's too stupid to understand his own rules. And obviously the majority of Boris Johnson fans are very selfish. They don't really care about other people, but they were in their house. They had to do... everyone's life was affected somehow, and they had to do Zoom call funerals or things like that. Yeah. So they're absolutely raging. And I think what you said, it looked like it was maybe just sneaking away with it all. And then, as you rightly mentioned, Tommy, there were two parties the night before the Prince Philip's funeral. And I mean, the last few Boris fans left. I'm assuming that if the Venn diagram would suggest that they're going to like the royals too, and they're going to be upset by that. So it's not a good look. And we're just reading some comments out. We've got, let's all remember that he promoted Pepper Pig World. Pepper Pig World. I mean, I think stuff like that, I think he means that. I mean, there was that thing about the bus. Remember he just started mumbling about a bus one time, and it meant when you Googled bus, double-decker bus, it came up with that rambling.
That was one of his first memes, and he gamed the Google algorithm with that. He mentioned something to do with buses because he knew it would trend higher than the scandal to do with buses. I mean, that doesn't happen by mistake. And he's never mentioned again his habit of building miniature buses. You know what I mean? We've never come back to that.
Yeah, it's not became policy or anything like that.
Nah.
Yeah, nobody's asked him about it. I don't know, Mark. The thing with the sympathy to the royals is that's only because we can never find out, because they're all going, oh, look, the night before they're having a party and Prince Philip's funeral's coming up, and there's the Queen. Because of the rules, she has to sit at home in a 180 bedroom house 6 miles, a fucking bus ride for the next room where anybody else is and all that stuff. And it's but I don't believe it. I think fucking Andrew and Harry are down there having fucking all night Nazi shagging parties. It's just that the Queen didn't know, but it costs you 120 or something.
I mean, to be serious about it for a second, I think one of the things that depresses me the most about the outrage over this is that the evidence of the hypocrisy of the Tory party is lying around. In particular, there's a very strong libertarian strain in the Tory party. They kicked out a lot of the moderates around about the time of Brexit, quite often veteran politicians, and it's almost like the libertarian wing has captured the Tory party in the same way that it has in Trump's Republican Party, and that's really dangerous for a number of reasons. But I think the worst thing about it is that they're complete hypocrites. They're not even real libertarians, because they will speak up against infringing freedoms when it's to do with protecting us from COVID. But then, with the other hand, they're trying to bring through the policing and criminal bill to try and restrict protest. Even as a libertarian rather than a conservative, those values are fundamentally at odds. But we completely ignore that. It's only when they're drinking when they shouldn't be supposed to be drinking, or partying when they shouldn't supposed to be partying, that it really registers. I find that quite sad and depressing. Do you know what I mean?
It's wild. It is wild. It's the party seems to be the thing that's, which as Claire says, yes, he's guilty of so much worse, but if the parties topple him, so be it. But I mean, who are you going to get? Who are you going to get following up? We're talking about memes. Let's look at some memes. And I'd like to hear your response to any of these. Do you think these are positive memes, bad memes, good memes? And let's just look at some memes. I've been. There was a Nigel Farage one there that didn't do it. We've got another caller in. It's Alex, all the way from Vietnam.
Hello.
Good morning, Vietnam. What's happening?
It's actually 2:43 in the morning.
2:43 in the morning. Good effort. Yep. Good effort. And are you here? Are you here in defence of Boris Johnson?
No chance.
Okay. So what are you making of it from looking at it all from Vietnam, through the lens of Vietnam?
It's crazy, I'm glad I'm outside of the country, to be honest. It's one of the reasons I left. And seeing it, it's a total shambles. I don't know what's going on in the UK.
Well, we just need to wait. You've just not heard Sue Gray's investigation yet. You know what happens? Just wait. Just wait until we find out the final results of Sue Gray's investigation, which feels like it's been going on for years now. And what do you think that is actually going to happen with that? Is Sue Gray? Well, I'm imagining. I don't know much about. I mean, Joe was correcting me that civil servants are a completely. It's not what I might consider a civil servant to be. I don't really know about that stuff. But is Sue Gray going to be doing a cover-up? Has she been brought in to try and whitewash it? What's going to happen there?
She'll have to. I mean, she'll have to be careful.
Yeah,
she'll have to do her job to an extent. But I think she's working. She works for the government. Her job's to do what the government want, and the government want at the end of this to come up with something that says we're really, really sorry. We did break the rules. We're under a lot of pressure, but nobody broke the ministerial code, so technically nobody has to resign. That's what her job is to come up with that conclusion in some way, twist all the fucking rules to come up with that conclusion and write what she's told to write.
Tommy, what were you going to say there?
I've forgotten now. I was looking at the chat.
Yeah, Sue Gray.
No, I was going to ask about the tattoo. What's the tattoo, Alex? What's the tattoo say?
What's the tattoo say, Alex?
La Furia Roja. The Red Fury.
Nice one. Like it.
And what I was going to ask as well, accidentally, that wasn't supposed to be there, but Nigel Farage ended up in the meme clip there. I mean, he's found himself in a strange position, quite irrelevant now. So he started helping Eastern European tennis players get into countries who, like, as the whole point was, I was talking about the Australian process being the best in the world. What's going on there? Is he just totally lost his relevance now and he's just trying to get some, I don't know, maybe sports fans on side or some anti-vax people on side? What's he doing?
Well, I mean, back in the day, he was quite memeable in the same way Boris Johnson was. Maybe he's lost a little bit of that. Various things that he's tried, like GB News, kind of haven't worked out very well. I don't know if you've seen that show where he has a pint with people, but it's like the most awkward thing you've ever seen since that show First Dates or whatever. But no, I mean, I think the pint is key, right? Like, I think that's like some of the memes you showed were really funny, and particularly like the it's a Cobra meeting one. And all of these make me giggle when I saw them. I think the danger is, though, that particularly like they put that in a context of almost like relatability. Do you know what I mean? And it's the same thing with the picture of like the video of Boris, of Gove dancing it up in a rave that they showed on Have I Got News for You in the title sequence. That went viral as well. You've got to wonder whether it's calculated or not. And I think probably it is. British people like to party, they like to have a drink. You don't see the Labour Party accidentally letting it slip that they're fuckheads. And I mean, talking of Have I Got News for You as well, and the start of Johnson's memeability, a lot of people argue that you shouldn't watch that show because they kind of effectively platformed him and made him popular. So that's kind of the same principle as the subtweeting stuff we were talking about,
Yeah, and Farage is a very good example. Farage has been on Question Time as a guest more often than any other person in the show's history.
Quite right. Yeah.
Even though he couldn't win a seat in Parliament, but he did. I mean, that propelled him to the point that he won 2 elections.
Quite
under
right.
2 different guises of 2 different parties at 2 EU elections in a row. He won them, and he won them all through that kind of as Bram describes, memes, which I wouldn't have seen as memes. But it is actually it's quite interesting to look at that in the kind of wider context of what a meme is. And Blair was very good at it with the whole Cool Britannia thing and all that stuff. And but Corbyn was good at it. Somebody mentioned before it was memeable. But Starmer, I mean, what would you do with Starmer? I mean,
it's a difficult question what you do with Starmer.
Because it's not like
standing awkwardly in a supermarket or something outside.
Even John Major, I mean, he was spitting image. I mean, if we're going back to memes, I suppose spitting image was kind of like an early version of that as well. And at least with John Major, he was so boring that he was like the grey man. Remember the boring man?
Yeah.
But Starmer's not interesting enough to be the boring man, if that makes sense. Susie Briggs says all of it's calculated. As far as the Gove thing, I think Gove is like, because basically that was a while back, so it just basically showed that because he's quite a boring man, considered boring, but it kind of showed that he's got another side to him, and it's so long ago now that nobody's going to think that he's not fit to run the country because he went and got mad with it in Aberdeen one time. It just kind of like stuck in your head, so I think that was calculated.
Maybe this is like
saying there'll be a few sacrificial lambs in the investigation. A lukewarm apology, nothing will change. And
I mean, maybe this is like the fucking stuff coming home to roost, because they've made an effort to portray themselves as total fucking lads, and it's killed at the ballot box. It's killed. So maybe they just pushed that too far. I mean, it's one way of looking at it, isn't it? But I agree with Susie. I think she said that it's totally all calculated, and I think it is, and I think it was under Cummings, and it is now.
And I think, if I'm right in saying that Gove's more on the Cummings side, so it might have been calculated. That's the problem. It's calculated, but you've got different people calculating different things, so it's not as so that's why it's so complicated to try and figure out what the fuck's going on. But Jim, I understand that you've got a poem about the Tories.
Oh yeah, I do have a poem about the Tories. It's quite a short poem, but I spent a long time writing it. It was at a time just earlier on Johnson's premiersm. I was talking about One Nation, which is a Tory thing they use all the time. It means a million different things. It means whatever you need it to mean at the time. It's the reason that Starmer's got Union Jacks behind him every time he does a speech and all that. There's this idea that somehow One Nation isn't just about a kingdom or a pride in a flag or a united kingdom. It's about this fact that we're all in it together. Everybody from the street cleaner to the Lord are all in the same boat, like in a blitz spirit thing. So I come up with this eloquent response to it. It's just a wee short one. You want me to read my poem? Aye?
Yes, I do, mate. Yes, I do. Would love to.
All right. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Okay. Fuck your flag. Fuck your crown. Fuck your fucking trickle down. Fuck One Nation. It's a fucking farce. Stick it up your fucking... And then I've just not been able to finish it since then. I've not come up with an ending yet.
Well, you don't want to use the A word. You could get kicked off of YouTube for using the A word, but absolutely brilliant.
I'll get there. I mean, it's a long process writing a poem, as Bram will tell you,
Got to pick them words.
Susie says, we have a right to be outraged at this and more, but it's a distraction for horrific bills that are being put through that a lot of folk don't even care about. Absolutely. I mean, it looks like am I right in saying that, because it's hard to even find information about that protest bill and stuff we're talking about. It's
passed really quietly
yesterday, but I think the House of Lords has kind of sent it back.
It's spectacle politics. That's the thing, and when you've got spectacle politics, it's there's the masquerade that's going on, and there's the stuff in the background, and they're very, very good at this. Like a lot of what Priti Patel does is for show, but it conceals really insidious policy agendas. And it's like, again, it comes from journalism. There's a term that comes from journalism called throwing a dead cat on the table. It's basically what you do in any crisis. You throw a dead cat on the table and everybody talks about the dead cat. And that is classic Tory tactics. It really is.
I think Bram's absolutely right. It is exactly as he said there. And I do think there's a kind of a way of doing all these things that they're all becoming very, very adept at. It's just that the Labour Party, unfortunately, the only way you can win, the only way you can stop the Tories in a UK electoral system that we have is for it to be the Labour Party. And the Labour Party, no matter how many times they've tried to invest in it or bring people in, just are not as good as it. The left are not as good as the right when it comes to these things.
And Labour
I think a lot of that depends on the moment, though, doesn't it, Jim? Like,
yeah, maybe
at the right moment. I mean, arguably, this is the moment for the left. It's just about presenting the right stories, and that's what Mike Watson writes about in his book.
Yeah.
About what the right has are these compelling narratives. Whether you're talking about the absolute sheer fucking mimetic lunacy, the kind of uber conspiracy of QAnon, or the kind of like laddish, Boris, well, fuck the rules and fuck the experts kind of stuff the Tories have got going on. These are all really strong narratives that people can get behind and use them as proxies rather than thinking, And the problem is with spectacle politics as well is that, anything that you try and do to counteract that can be co-opted by the spectacle or turned into spectacle itself. So really it's about the production of a compelling narrative. And I wonder if the left is up to the task of that, with all of the other stuff that the left's got going on internally. So those are interesting questions, and those are the ones that Mike explores in his book, The Meme of Mark Fisher, which is really worth a read.
I think that the problem for the left is what the left have to do with the way the media, the way our election system works, everything else, what the left feel as if their job ends up being is trying to make themselves acceptable enough to the media to enable to get into office with as much left of a destroyed kind of manifesto as they can get away with when they get in. They don't see like challenging right-wing arguments with left-wing arguments as their job. They see it to become how far right-wing can we go to hold on to a few principles in order to win. But I think the policing bill is a good example of that. What Bram was saying about the distraction of the whole thing. What we think we read was that the House of Lords knocked back the policing bill. What the House of Lords knocked back was these very, very late amendments that were thrown in by Priti Patel that were horrendous, to the point that even libertarians, even Tories, would not be having them. Libertarians have a traditional standing up for kind of civil rights alongside other kind of oppressive conservative things. So what they did was they put forward quite a terrible policing bill, which for gypsy travellers in England and Wales, it basically criminalises their whole way of life. Yep. It criminalises their existence. And by throwing in a few things at the last minute, like, I don't know how bad it got. I didn't see the exact amendments, but I think it's like if somebody doesn't put the recycling bin out at the right day, you get shot in the head. Things like that kind of stuff. And it was like, things like that you should actually... Anybody your community service for prisoners is now to swim out into the channel and pull dinghies back towards France and all that kind of stuff. So she threw in the things at the last minute. They get voted down, and the next day we read the House of Lords defeated the government's policing bill. The policing bill went through completely unaltered for what it was a few weeks ago. All that lost was, as Bram said, that kind of sleight of hand thing that they did at the last minute, you know.
And Alex, I see Alex with his hand up. Alex, what you got to say?
It's reminiscent of the criminal justice bill.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, from the 1990s that tried to stop us having free parties and things like that. And so it's just they're trying to take the freedom away from us, basically.
Absolutely. And we've got another caller coming through just now. Also, Tommy, I don't want to put you in the spot, but it'd be good if you've got another tune lined up. But let's find out who the next caller is.
Your call is very important. Please
It's Petra.
Hiya.
You've got some good light in there, Petra. How you doing?
Why is it all? I've got a blurry background and a filter. I didn't even do that.
It looks great.
I look better than I have in ages.
You've got a green screen behind you. It looks like as you can see, I've got a fancy studio here. Does that look realistic? Does it look realistic?
You deserve a real studio, babes. You deserve.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah, get there.
So, Petra, what are you here in defence of Boris
Johnson?
I know that you're in Perthshire.
We're in Perthshire. I don't know what that means politically either. As you know, I don't really do politics, Mark.
Yeah, I know. You've been known to. I've done it a couple of times.
Thank you.
I don't have the politics.
You're the fucking best.
I've never followed it. Is there somebody got a little kid just came in the door or something?
No, it's fine. It's fine. It's
sorry, that was my missus bringing me a beer. Apologies, I should have done that on mute, Mark.
I was wondering whether I would have a little Bailey's, seeing as we're in the chat.
Yeah, have a Bailey's. Go for it.
Right, there's 1 minute to 8, Mark. Am I going to get started or not? Are you calling it at 8 o'clock?
No, well, I'm off it. I'm off it. I'm
off it, babe.
It's January, so January. It's dry January, which means for me, no drink Monday to Friday afternoon or something like that. But
So I can't.
Go for
I've got questions.
Yeah.
Right. So is Dominic Cummings the one who spilled the beans on the party?
Yeah, but we think so. I mean, it seems pretty clear that that's the case.
So it's Dominic, and Dominic got fired, and now he's spilling the beans on the party.
Yeah.
Now, I know that Dominic Cummings was very against Carrie. I think she's a bit of a Lady Macbeth figure, don't you?
I don't actually know much about her. I've heard
this
that.
is it. But she's very influential. Very influential. More influential than she should ever be. Now, I just had a look online. She started dating, she was kind of in the works doing PR jobs or whatever. So she obviously knew Boris for a while. But he became president. What is he again? Prime Minister in 2019.
Chief events coordinator.
Is that what he was? Right, so in 2019, basically, it happened sort of simultaneously. He became president, prime minister.
Chief events coordinator.
She got her way with him and got in there. I always thought she was a bit of a spy. I just thought, what is she doing there? What is she doing with Boris? Now,
this
so
is a
when
good. This is taking an interesting. So she's a spy. I like this.
Yeah. So when Dominic starts saying, you know, they were basically talking about, and he said we had the two things going on, like were we going to bomb Iraq with the USA, and then there was that other massive thing going on. I can't remember what it was. And meanwhile, she's worrying about how she looks because of this little dog. You know, remember that story? Does anyone remember that story?
The dog.
No. Yeah.
Sorry, Bram's nodding. Bram.
Yeah, it's another classic example. That's a really good one, actually. And you could pick a million off them, probably. You know.
So what's the dog? I've literally.
Petra, can I ask, is that a pencil or a joint that's in your hand?
It's not a joint, sadly.
All right, okay.
I'm being dry because it's January. No, I just ran out, actually.
Oh.
So, yeah, I think she's a bit of a...
So can we go back to the little dog thing, how she looked a bit a dog? I don't know anything about this.
Yeah, there were two major things going on in the house, in the Downing Street. There was, are we going to join America and bomb Iraq? It was massive, right? And then there was this other massive thing. Help me. What was the other massive thing? Dominic Cummings.
I'm assuming this is Syria we're talking about here.
Was it Syria? Yeah, you see, it probably was Syria because Iraq was before that.
What's the little dog about?
I'm just Googling it, actually, Mark.
Right.
I'm cheating because I was off camera.
Ask what Dominic Cummings said about it, because he said it was ridiculous. We had this going on and we had this going on, and all of a sudden Carrie wanted all this attention put on this little dog because she was looking bad in the media because she had allegedly held it wrong or lost it or something. And
right, I'm going to just, sorry, 2 seconds. While we're Googling the dog, I've just got, Tommy is just about to run out of battery, so I'm going to try and see if we can get one more tune out of Tommy before we go.
I liked your song, by the way, Tommy.
Tommy's a legend. We used to play gigs back when we used to do gigs.
Oh, cheers. I've not got anything else prepared.
You've not got anything prepared? Not? All right, okay, no worries. But please do check out dailyreckless.com.
Hold on.
Mark, so I didn't find Petra's...
Can I hear what, sorry?
All
is that just from your website? Tommy, I'll just play it from your website.
Yeah, here we go.
Tommy, just send me the link. It won't sound that. Sound of a cunt, right? I'm going to mute you, Tommy, because it's not going to sound great over a computer, but I'll find that on Daily Reckless just now. Sound of a cunt, sound of a cunt, right? Let's go for that. We've got that tune. Sound of a cunt, Daily Reckless. So I'm going to play it on the website just because it doesn't sound that good. And we'll come back to the little dog, which I'm really interested about because that's a new one to me. But this is Sound of a Cunt by Tommy.
He's totally got him under the thumb.
This is, if you don't know, Tommy was in the sensational Alex Salmon Gastric Band, who played many a good night for us in the past, and he's got a singing newspaper every day, a new song, and this is one of them. It's called Sound.
I want to ask you about the latest allegations on Christmas parties. Did you and Carrie attend the Downing Street party that was organised by Martin Reynolds on the 20th of May?
All of that, as you know, is the subject of a proper investigation by Sue Gray.
So have you already been interviewed by Sue Gray, and if not, can you reject her question you again about this?
All that is the subject for investigation by Sue Gray.
That's the sound of a cunt smirking like a Wayne again. That's the sound of a cunt smirking and lying.
Stuff. Tommy Mackay, Daily Reckless. Give it a quick plug, man, before your battery runs out. Round of applause.
Yeah, new song every day. Not always politics, but mostly politics. But yeah, the paper that sings the news. That's me. The battery's gone. See you later.
Thank you, Tommy Mackay, absolute legend. Bye, Tommy. And we're going to go back to the dog story, I think. Have you Googled it, Bram? What happened with the dog?
So I Googled it and I couldn't find it, but I just sent you the link to the story on Twitter, man, that I could find. And it's not a great link of somebody trying to distract you with the story, but it is a pretty good Tory scandal we've all forgotten from 2017. Tory MP Mark Menzies interviewed by police over claims he got dog drunk and started a brawl with a friend.
He got dog drunk. Oh, he got his dog drunk, not like white girl drunk, which is a phrase.
Yeah.
I was so drunk, I was dog drunk.
You know, I think the sheer
Mark.
volume of Tory scandal is why we can't find Petra's dog story. There are so many dog stories, scandals to do with the Tories.
Dominic Cummings was interviewed. It's Dominic Cummings' last big interview that he did. I have other questions. Well, first of all,
can I just say about the guy that got the dog drunk there? Although he's the MP for like Blackpool or Fylde or something, Mark I'll recognise this and I'll explain a lot about his dog drinking habits. He's frae Drossen, he's frae Ayrshire, that guy.
Top end of the bottom end.
He's I'm not actually sure. He went to a private school, so probably whatever, an end that we've not seen yet.
Probably not got an end. It's probably just that right.
A kind of sleepy hollow somewhere that we're not allowed in.
Petra, because we've not got. This is not going to be one of those all-night shows, so we've not got much long left. But what's your other question? Because that's as much as we can get about dogs. But I think it explains perfectly how they bring in a dog story so that it takes away the algorithm, so people can't find.
It wasn't really about the dog. It wasn't really about the dog. It was just about Carrie doing another thing. So if it was mainstream media that it came out in, whoever controls mainstream media wanted this to be known. Otherwise, it would have been kept down, or they would have said, "Oh, it's photoshopped." It didn't, they would have somehow found a way to deny it. So I don't believe it. I think they've discovered that Carrie is a spy. So they need to get Boris out. And this was a great way to get Boris out, because what did he do? He had a party. That's typical Boris. Because in the Houses of Parliament, they have a bar. You know that it's a drinking culture, that Houses of Parliament. It's a big drinking culture. They all go to the bar, they get free drinks, they get tax-free drinks, they're all pissed. What about that guy? Who was that guy who came to the House of Commons all fucking obviously been up on Charlie all night with his tie all squinting, his eyes all wide? What was it? That guy.
George Osborne, I think.
George Osborne. They're always high as kites. They're partying all the time, And Boris has always got a bunged up nose. He talks like that all the time.
I forgot about George Osborne. Fuck.
I know, right?
Back. He must be due back, surely.
So here's the other thing about the party. No one's questioned, if COVID really was such a massive, dangerous thing, why were they having the party? Does that mean they weren't afraid of COVID? And if not, why not? Just a question. My other question is, who was the last good prime minister?
Well, I don't remember there ever being one.
Because I don't. I remember everyone getting excited about Tony Blair. Woohoo! And then
that didn't.
I was born in 1980, Petra. There's been no good prime ministers for 41 years.
Man would have gone, that's my guy.
I remember at the time with the Cool Britannia thing, and I was a young child, but I loved Oasis, and it seemed like there was a big change, and obviously. But yeah, it wasn't what we thought it to be. Although I do remember it to being better than it is now. But obviously, but I suppose you get old, and as you get older, you get more cynical. And you, Jim,
everything's better.
Has there been a good prime minister in your lifetime?
I would say in my lifetime, oh God, I don't know if there's been a good one. I would say the last time you had prime ministers that were actually running this is not to say they were any good, but compared to today, prime ministers were actually kind of running the country for the benefit to a large extent for the benefit of the country. You've got to go back to like Wilson and Heath and all that when we had like
70s.
publicly owned like businesses and industries, and we had like free education all the way through, and we had. Do you know what? I mean, don't get me wrong, they were terrible. They were still up to all sorts all over the world and all sorts of dodgy things. But the kind of what's acceptable now is just outrageous. I mean, there's something worth googling if anybody's got the time to Google Henry McLeish and why Henry McLeish resigned. Had to resign as First Minister for Scotland, and see if you look at it. I mean, it was over it wasn't even pocketing any money or anything. It was just a kind of mistake with invoices or something, and that's really about it. And right now, can you imagine like, stuff they got away with now? Anybody resigning? If you look at what Henry McLeish was forced to resign for, you think, oh my God, that would even make the papers now. Never mind.
Yeah, well, because that's why I was surprised that is Allegra or whatever she was called. She resigned, and I was genuinely surprised because nobody seems to resign anymore. We've got a call coming in. We're running out of time, so I'm going to take this call. This is You Call That Radio. So let's go to the phone. It's Susie Briggs.
Hey.
Hello, Susie. How you doing?
I'm all right.
Congratulations on your podcast lasting a year. Our wee podcast is now a year old. Happy birthday.
Yeah. I know. Happy birthday to us. Thanks very much.
Thank you for joining us. Are you calling in defence of Boris Johnson or?
No. No, I think I've got my own wee theory on it. As my old dad would say, they're a shower of shits. And Cummings, him leaving like that, I'm a bit suspicious. I think he's the one employed to throw dead cats on the table to get us all distracted. But I've popped in here with that theory. I've nothing to substantiate it other than the amount of dead cats lying on the table. But I've got a couple of wee poems to show you how I am anti-Tory. So
go for it. Please take it away.
Go for it. All right. Let's see. Well, I'll just do the one. Right. It's called The Licht and the Smirk. They would hae you believe your own country's nae worth. Generations telt this lie fae birth. National identity mocked or suppressed, unless it was funny or appropriately dressed, with a tartan bonnet on it. But tuck heart and imagine your freedoms for yon poisonous snakes that would rather slumber on and put shin in the wains for them to hod for it into promising future. Them insidious gowks that would rather fill their own coffers and take the basics off our elders, they that lost sons and lovers for their gluttonous freedoms. Aye, corruption is rife, but ye ken it's no our work. Scotland, can you no see? We had the licht in this murk. There you are.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Well done.
Thank you.
Susie, I believe you've got a gig to plug as well. You've got a gig?
I've got a gig. I'm doing a poetry brunch with Big Burn Supper tomorrow morning and at 10 o'clock. So you'll see me and Alan McClure and a wee other poets on that. You can still wear your jammies and bring BYOP, bring your own pastries. So it's at 10 a.m. tomorrow, Big Burn Supper, poetry brunch. And the other thing I could plug is, well, listen to our wee podcast. It's a audible bubble of bliss, a waft of the keek storms of adult life. And I'm doing a wee thing with the Tristan Thorns, which is Victoria McNulty, Jeanette Ayachi, Morag Anderson and myself at the Scottish Poetry Library. So look out for that. We were asked to write new work based on our reactions to Robert Burns' poems. And I gave him a wee bit of a pasting, so you're welcome to look into that as well when it comes live. I think it's on Friday. It's coming live.
And I hope to have some stuff confirmed tomorrow for the Friction Burn Supper, which I believe is going to be next Friday. although now that gigs have started back, it's a bit of a. It was already a financial gamble to do it because it's expensive to live stream it to such a high quality, and now gigs are back and people can go out again. I don't know, but I think we're just going to do it anyway. But I'll hopefully be able to announce something about that tomorrow. But yeah, we've got a very posh venue, and we've got an amazing team working on it. So I'll hopefully announce that tomorrow. Hi Susie, love your opinions all the times. Love Baby Doll. And Stuart says, love that, Susie, and Scott's and all.
Thanks, darling. Thank you, everybody.
And Louise saying, no COVID deniers, please. I have had friends and family die of it, Mark. There's no COVID denials on this screen. Don't worry about that, Louise. And she's also saying that I think John Smith might have been decent. Is that true, Jim? I remember John Smith. I remember my dad being a fan of John Smith as well. Would he have been a good Prime Minister, do you think?
Nah, I fucking hate John Smith. He was like it was exactly like Blair, but before Blair. All he was interested in was getting rid of everybody that was left wing in the Labour Party. And it's easy to eulogise people after they're gone, but nah, John Smith was just Blair before Blair.
Well, that's it.
Sorry I don't want to jump up and down and Iowa, but you know that's how I see it. You know,
I don't know. I was too young. I was in.
To follow up on Susie's theory or Petra's theory, I've got a theory about the Tories and all that stuff. And to me, it's just that they are actually. It's no that big a secret. There's no conspiracy going on. There's no really any kind of even planning or plotting that we don't know about, because they are just basically kind of nasty, selfish, greedy, sociopathic, narcissistic, entitled, privileged, posh assholes. And there's a name for it, and it's the ruling class. And I would like to add to the other suggestions for the reading list that we've had tonight, and there's lovely poems that were added to read this. There's quite an interesting German writer called Karl Marx, and a lot of it's in there already.
And so Jim's promoting Karl Marx. Anyone else get anything else to plug? So
yes,
Susie's got
I do.
Yes, Petra, what are you plugging?
Can I put forth my final theory on the whole thing before I plug my thing?
Okay, you can.
I think that because Boris is, one of the boys, and he's protected by all his toffs and peers and everything else. I think that a major event is going to happen. Some shit is going to hit the fan very soon, and they want Boris out because they don't want him to be the guy who leads the shit. So it's like, let's get Boris out, we'll get someone else in, and then the shit can happen. The other thing is,
just resigning. Why doesn't he just resign?
For why would he? They need an excuse.
All right, okay. I don't know. I'm just asking.
You lose your pension if you resign. If you get sacked, then you can keep those privileges.
Oh, there you go.
Is it like back in the day, in order to get your dole money, you've got to be sacked. If you quit your job, you don't get your dole money.
Yes, exactly.
I remember that well. But I was always quite good at getting sacked, so luckily it was never an issue. Let's go to Petra. What was it you got to plug?
I'm going to be supporting Hugh Reid at McCool's on the 11th of February, if they let us.
Oh, I think you'll be safe enough for that. I'll put that in the diary. That's going to be great. Hugh Reid at McCool's.
Yeah.
With support from Petra. That'll be a cracking gig.
I got the band for that, and that'll be fun.
I'll be there, 100%.
You will? Excellent.
So thank you, everybody. It's 5G. Someone's wrote about 5G. Right, we're not getting into 5G. We're going to say thank you. Oh, Bram, you've got an album. We've got to get a quick plug for that. An amazing album.
I was just going to pump my podcast, Strange Exiles. We've got an interview with Mike Watson up there. And I want to nominate Ash Sarkar for next leader of the Labour Party, please.
So Strange Exiles, I'm just going to put the meme of Mark Fisher. I'm going to put a link to that in the comments, because that's why I invited you on, Bram, because it's such an amazing...
Mark Fisher was on.
A great podcast, guys. I'm going to just bring it up on the screen just now, just so you can that you're seeing the right thing. But it's definitely my favourite podcast of the last year. Check out Bram does it. He's had some amazing guests on there. It's about 11 shows there to catch up on. Cool. And also, if you, what he did brilliantly was a year. Episode 12 was a year of Excel. So you can it's maybe a good way to start with that, because it's a wee clip of each.
It's a wee taster of each show.
And then you can
That's
decide
a good one.
which one you're into, because it takes deep dives into subjects. So there might be some that you'll be more into than others. So I would say check that one out first, and keep up the good work, Bram, because it's a great podcast. Mark. Baby doll in Newtony, faking about with them all. I've always been unemployable. Love baby doll. I would give you a job. If I were a wealth creator, but I'm not. And sadly not yet. But we will end with a song by the Twistettes called Tory Cunts. I hope you all...
I would like to say another thing. Oh, where's he going? We should always remember one thing.
Yes.
Can you hear me, Mark? I don't know.
Yeah, I can hear you. Aye.
In the words of Frank Zappa, politics is the entertainment division of the military-industrial complex, and we've been well entertained. Thank you very much, and good night.
Yes, very good point. I hope you've been entertained tonight. Everyone who's tuned in, thank you to all my guests tonight. I think we're back on Tuesday for Burns Night, but we're not doing a Burns Night special. We're actually doing an Archie special. We talked to Kirsten Innes and David Bratchpiece about their book Brickwork, which talks about the highs and lows of one of Glasgow's most legendary arts venues and nightclubs, the Archies. So looking forward to that on Tuesday night. And hopefully I'll maybe come back tomorrow just for a quick live stream just to explain about the Friction Burns thing if I just get the guts to do it. But thank you to everyone who's tuned in tonight. It's been lovely talking to you all. Boris Johnson is a cunt, and this is the Twistettes with Tory Cunts. Thank you. Good night.
Is booting in our door. 1984 is slithering through our pores. 1984 is banging down our door. 1984 has a battery ram, it's a battery